Okay. This coming Monday? Okay. Definitely be praying that they find out what's going on with that. That was from, wasn't roller skating? Sorry. Okay, sorry. Yep. Be praying for Veronica and her leg. Did you have something this morning? Yes, that's right. Flu. I know Josue texted me said he's hoping it wasn't the flu that he got, but definitely be praying for that. Is Michelle, is she sick too? Okay. Lone survivor. Any other prayer requests before we look at some announcements? Yes. Okay, be praying for Miss Lois's friend Lisa with the biopsy she has coming up. Pray that her nerves aren't too strong. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. What's I know you call her grandma, but what's her name? We'll definitely be praying for her. Is there anything else that we need to add to our prayer lists? What? No. Sorry, I got too much maple sap flowing right now. I can't pray for warm weather. All right, some announcements. The Sweetheart Banquet is a month from today. It's on a Saturday, right? And 4 p.m. February 14th, 4 p.m., Sweetheart Banquet. Always a very fun time. Anything we need to know about that? Not yet, all right? But definitely mark your calendars. It is a wonderful time. Ladies' Bible class is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. here at the building. So ladies, be sure to attend that. And also, CYC, people that are going to CYC, there will be a group meeting this Sunday after morning services. Miss Joanne, good to see you. We were just talking about you. CYC group, meet this Sunday after a.m. worship. Anything else we need to add to our announcements? Camp meeting, is that next Saturday? The 24th. All right. Well, number 50, go ahead and mark that. And then, Jimmy, why don't you come give us our devotion?
We have a new sister, Malia. There she is. She's precious. We love you, Malia. Welcome to the family. You have a new birthday. We're proud of you. Turn to the book of Judges, the last chapter. A lot going on in the world today. The book of Judges, the last chapter, the last verse. I want you to look at that verse really carefully. There was no king in Israel, and every man did what was right in his own eyes. What is missing in that verse? You know, get over the king. Whether we have a king, a president, or whatever, if we have this and we have knowledge of this, God is missing in that verse. And in a lot of ways today, God is missing in action. But it's not Him, it's us. Go to Deuteronomy. Let's go. Exodus 20. No, Deuteronomy 5. I like that one better because I may stay in Deuteronomy. All right. This is all right now, okay? I got a text from Carl. I'm not complaining, but I was at work, and so I chewed on what I wanted to talk about all day. Deuteronomy 5. This is the second reminder of the Ten Commandments that Moses gives to the children of Israel. The first is in Exodus 20. But this is a reminder, and it's very important. But I want you to, I'm not going to go through all of them. I just want to look at one. Go to Deuteronomy 5, verse 11. And I want you to look at that verse really carefully, and I want you to think about it. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. I could stop there, because that's what I want us to focus on. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. What's the first thing you think? And I run this by the teenagers, I think last Sunday. What's the first thing you think of when you take the Lord's name in vain? And we do that. We shouldn't. But it's just not verbally. And I want to give you an example. I got to chewing on this as we was driving to church tonight. We have a family that came up and visited. The youngest daughter goes to Freed. And she came up to get Stephen to tint some windows on her car during Christmas break. And we love these people. They're just fantastic. Good Christian home. All the kids, don't mean to call them kids, but all the kids went to Freed. All right, the youngest one is a sophomore, I think. But anyway, Sally, we was out there talking, visiting. It was warm. We was, just catching up. Hadn't seen this girl in it's been a long time. And we was asking about her sisters. And she said, Miss Sally, we grew up so sheltered. The other daughter graduated Freed, and I don't mind telling you, I'm going to tell you where she's going to school to get her master's, and it's Austin Peay. In one of her classes, the teacher asked her to write a poem taking the Lord's name in vain. This is the world we live in. She's a transgender teacher. Well, you might not all be talking about that from the pulpit, but I'm not in the pulpit. I'm sorry. So I'm going to talk about it. And I'm not being judgmental. It's not me to judge. But we're in Deuteronomy 5. Go to Deuteronomy 6. Deuteronomy 6 is a good chapter. All right, let's go down to verse 23. Do not take the Lord's name in vain. And this young lady, she said, Miss Sally said, what took place? What happened? And she said, well, my sister said, I can't do that. Said, my family, we don't do that. I don't know the rest of it. I wasn't in on the conversation. But a transgender teacher in a university, Austin Peay, asked her student to write a poem taking the Lord's name in vain. You get into Deuteronomy 5. Deuteronomy is a beautiful book. Parents, give you homework. Grandparents, read Deuteronomy 6. Please, when you get home. I mean, soak it up. Chew on it. Give it some time. And I tell the teenagers, Stephen may remember, I tell my teenagers all the time, and it's for all ages, if you ever want a quick refresher on your responsibility to God, do 6, Deuteronomy 6, and R12, refrigerant, old refrigerant, R12, Romans 12. Good to see you, Chance. Good to see you. It's been a long day. Anyway, I love you. You may remember do 6 and okay, cool. All right. Deuteronomy 6. Look at verse 23. This is such a cool verse in a little bitty big chapter, few words. It is such a cool verse. It is so powerful. It's got so much information to it. The children of Israel have been in Egypt for 400 years. When God led Joseph didn't know it at the time, to Egypt, 17, maybe spent 13 years in prison, then became the vice president, the most, top gun other than Pharaoh, and God was at work. And we can see this if we study our Bible. God's at work, and He's providing for His future family, Jacob, whose name was changed. Always remember, Israel's a God-given name. He changed his name to Israel. Jacob had 12 sons, and they all end up in Egypt. And when they got there, they're in Egypt. Figuratively speaking, we live in this world, okay? We live in Egypt. Egypt is sinful. They did not recognize God. They worshiped everything God created, but they overlooked God. Okay? But Joseph, by God's providence, brought his family and set them in Goshen. Set aside. They had to live in Egypt, but they did not have to let Egypt live in them. And they set aside a place, God's planning. To us today, if I do a comparison, that's the church. That's the body of Christ, okay? We have to live in this world, but we don't have to let the world live in us. And God had everything planned. And He's going to deliver His people because that's what He does. He's going to deliver us. That's what He wants us to be willing to be participating in. Okay? He wants to deliver us from this world. So you get down to verse 23. I'll start with verse 20. Deuteronomy 6. When your sons ask you in time to come, saying, what is the meaning of the testimonies, the statutes, and the judgments? Now this is when He brings them all out of Egypt. Moses is talking here. He's talking to us. This will never be outdated. It's as current as the day's newspaper, okay? It's more reliable. When your son asks you in time coming, saying, what is the meaning of the testimonies, the statutes, the judgments which the Lord our God has commanded you? Verse 21, then you shall say to your son, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Verse 22, and the Lord showed signs and wonders before our eyes, great and severe, against Egypt, Pharaoh, and all his household. Why? Verse 23, then He brought us out from there that He might bring us in to the promised land. Through the cross, the invitation's yours. Through the cross, Jesus has once again, the Godhead, provided a way to provide for us. We just have to accept it. But He wants to bring us out of this world so He can bring us into the promised land. We just have to accept. We have to live faithful. We don't need to live in such a way that we take the Lord's name in vain. We can do that not just verbally, but the way if I claim to be a Christian and I darken the door once a week or whenever the doors are open, but I go back out into the world and you can't tell me from the world, I'm taking God's name in vain. And we must not be guilty of that. We need to encourage each other. So the invitation's yours if anybody has a need. God loves you, I love you.
Young all see it. I was like, yeah, that ain't no problem. I read that. About 2 minutes later, he said, oh, there goes with it. All right, I'd like to share a story of a tragedy and a bliss. There's a boy who was born into a so-called nuclear family. At the age of 4, he was hospitalized with a childhood illness. While there was beknownst to him, his mother went into the hospital as well for what should have been a simple medical procedure, a D&C. However, something went wrong. that caused his mother to have encephalitis, an infection in her brain causing inflammation and swelling, which was fatal. So after his release from the hospital, he returned home to a motherless house, not truly understanding the meaning or finality of death. At her funeral, he was not allowed to see his mother one last time or to say goodbye. Initially, his father brought older siblings from his previous marriage to watch him and his other siblings. She was a sister he had never known previously. She was much like the stepsisters in Cinderella to all of them, since they were not fully blood kin. His father eventually married again to a woman much younger than he was. She was a loving mother and devoted wife in spite of her youth. They had a child together, so now there were 4 children under the age of 10 in the home. One day, when this boy was 8, the sink where the children brushed their teeth pulled away from the wall and fell to the floor. It broke the sink and damaged the plumbing. This happened because all the children would lean on the sink to brush their teeth. However, this boy took the brunt of his father's anger. His father commenced to beat him, including punches to his face, while in a blind rage. This caused the boy to bleed from his nose, causing further rage. At which point the father took him to a wash sink in the utility room to clean up the mess by holding this boy underwater for an extended period of time. So long, in fact, the new mother had to retrieve a pistol to get him to stop. This is one of many beatings that this boy received, after which he would wish for his father's death. The following year, his father died in a car accident in which one of the front tires of his car came off and he lost control. After this boy became completely unmanageable child for his new mom, she sought the help of a local minister. He was able to get to the real issue, which was bothering the boy. The weekend before the crash, the boy, his father, and his younger brother had rotated all the tires on the car. In the 9-year-old's mind, he thought he was responsible for his father's death. The minister helped him to see the truth, which was that his father had tightened the lug nuts behind him, and if he didn't, he should have, therefore laying the responsibility where it belonged with his father. This one truth freed the boy from the tormenting thought of him killing his father. You should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Father didn't have adequate life insurance to provide for the family in the event of this death, so the boy's family lost their home, their car, and had to move. The boy's stepmother kept all children together, though with the help of his older loving sister, she was able to buy a home and a car and become established again. However, the stepmom made some bad choices in men. First, she married a man a little younger than her who was very immature and definitely abusive to everyone in the family. That marriage lasted less than a year. The second man she married, although not physically abusive, was a perfectionist, the kind that says you can do no right and I can do no wrong. The marriage lasted through the rest of the boy's childhood. The father figures in this boy's life had all been good examples of bad examples. The boy entered the service of his country, and he was mentored by some of the best men possibly. In the military, he was able to flourish and excel. However, excellence comes with challenges as well, like jealousy and envy. He was brought up on court material charges for a crime he didn't commit. He was able to have the case dropped due to his clean record and reputation. Later in his career, he was harassed by a superior because the superior felt threatened by him and his leadership ability. Either one of these episodes could have possibly ended his otherwise spotless career. Up until this point in his life, this young man had not had the salvation and joy of the Lord. These were all terrible burdens to bear alone, but truly he was not alone, because all through his life, once he became a Christian, he could look back and see the hand of God at work. It guided him to the place where he could take on the Lord in baptism and know the peace of having him to talk to every moment, every day.
Evening, everybody. Tonight I'm talking about missions, and that story was told because um, most of you, not most, but a lot of you have been grown up in families that are stable and in the church, but there's a lot of people out there that have not. Um, Miguel, you want to go ahead and read the first one? Devin? And JT?
Pure and undefiled religion involves caring for orphans and widows.
You're wondering what all that has to do with missions, but you know that is our mission. It's to love and cherish those around us enough to tell them about the Lord. Make sure this is on. In November, the reason why I went to Mexico in November of last year was because the church building down there needed more light or more wiring that hadn't been finished in our June trip. And when I went down there, I got to be a lot closer to the people. And that it was a neat trip because when you're down there with a group, there's all kinds of group things you have to do. And one of them involves eating, you know. And so like you go out to the job, you're out there for maybe an hour or two, and it's like time. Anyway, there, thanks. Anyway, when I went in November last year, I didn't, in 2024, I didn't have that. I could go in and get it done, and there was a lot more time to do things. And so, when Deanna and I went back this year, you know, we were hoping for the same thing, more time. However, somebody had other plans, I'll put it that way. Anyway, I'll just read this, and I put it up so that you can read along with me, and you know, because they say that if you see it and hear it, it sticks longer anyway. In November 2025, I was blessed to be able to return to Baja, Mexico on a mission that was supposed to not only support the further improvements of the church building, but also to touch the lives in ways only faith can. The trip was a special one without the usual team. I was able to build deeper connections with our brothers and sisters there, offering both physical help and spiritual encouragement. While in the military, we learned that a mission plan has to be flexible. Why? Because as soon as you hit the ground, things change. Now it's getting a little too much. One thing is for sure. God's love and providence and support do not. Of the 10 days that Deanna, now I know it says Diana up there, but it's pronounced Deanna in Spanish, so I've honored her in saying Deanna, because anyway, Deanna Flores and I were in Mexico. It rained 8 of those days. I learned what that experience means to the wonderful people in that area. The good, in spite of the weather, was we were able to purchase electrical supplies and wire the homes of 3 of the sisters, 1 widow and 2 older ladies whose husbands had left them. 2 of the ladies still had children in their homes. With the support and assistance of these ladies, now with our support, now they have functioning electrical fixtures, not extension cords, and 1 light bulb. That's what most of them had, 1 light bulb for the entire home. Just a note, these homes are not our usual 3-bedroom, 2-bath American style homes. Most still have outdoor plumbing and solar electric, as I'll show you an example of in further photos. During my first trip to Baja in 2022, I was able to complete electrical work on 1 home with the help of 5 locals. So, as you can see, we were able to step up our game a little bit. We got 3 homes done. Additionally, Deanna and I handed out candy to local children in one of the nearby communities while talking with and honoring our Lord and Savior with her parents. The last 2 years of mission trips in June concentrated on the new church building, so helping individual families kind of took a back seat. So this was a pleasant change to be able to help the local families. However, with additional funds raised, the church now has internet service for the next year in hopes of starting a community outreach school program. Below, in the pictures below, I've included letters that the three ladies wrote to us in Spanish, and I would have gotten this letter out earlier, but Google Translation was saying some weird things. And this letter was originally as a thank you for folks that supported the mission to begin with, and I just put it on here so y'all can see it. So I thank God we are blessed with Josue Ramirez for translating them from Spanish for me. So here are the pictures of the mission trip, because they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'll let them tell you more of the story. This is the first thank you note, and it's mainly to me from Deanna's mother, Nicole. And I'll explain to you why I included this. Thanks, Brother Mark, for your work. It was almost finished, but everything is fine. May God bless you and your family, and I hope to see you soon. It was great to see you again. Thank you for your effort. Say hello to your wife for me, and I hope that you get back home safely. Thank you so much, brother, for what you did at the house. Sincerely, Deanna's mom. Anyway, the reason why I included that it's almost done is because when we went into these homes, the people were so humble they didn't ask for much. You know, they'd say, oh, okay, if you'll just put a switch, and they would be good with a switch and a fixture. I said, well, since we're down here and we got the supplies, let's do as much as we can and get it, you know. And so in Nicole's house in particular, there was one box that we didn't get to because of the weather. So I know that was partly Deanna saying it was almost finished, because she badgered me the whole time we were down there, you know, when we did get back to it. Anyway, this letter is to those that supported the mission. Good morning, brothers. Thank you. Thanks to all the brothers and sisters who helped. Also, thank you to Mark Burkett for his work. God bless you all. I send greetings to all the brothers and sisters. Sincerely, Nicole Sanchez. This is a picture of Nicole's house before, and there's one light bulb, and I don't know if you can see it. There's a little hand sticking out there through the doorway, and that was Deanna. You know, my camera shy. Except for selfies, she'll do 1,000 of them. But you know, anyway, there's no switch there. It was just that light bulb was it in that room, and that was the whole house. And I used the house, you know, you'll see. This is the after. The picture to the left is one of the rooms. The picture to the right is the room where the solar panels above come down and feed. There's a regulator and an inverter, and then I had to wire it from the inverter out to everywhere else. We put a light in there are 4 rooms in this house, and we even got to put a light in the baño, which is bathroom, but it's an outhouse. Anyway, this is the next lady we were able to help, and this was Sister Juanita. And last year when I spoke about this mission, I talked about Juanita because Juanita was the one that talked to Nicole, who, you know, Nicole's Deanna's mother, obviously. And part of the reason why we come here is because of all that. I mean, it just was a kind of a trickle-down effect. And Juanita is a very humble lady, but she's very God-loving, and she talks to lots of people about the Lord and about the Church of Christ in general. So, hello, brothers and sisters in Christ. It is an honor for me to have received your unconditional help as your sister in faith. God bless you all, and especially Brother Mario and Brother Mark for their efforts despite the weather and any dangers or accidents that might have occurred. God was with them every step of the way. May God continue to give you health and more love, and may He also give us strength to do something to help others, as Jesus always taught. May God greatly help you all with any projects you may have. Thank you so much for your help. Sincerely, your sister in Christ, I'm not good with the Spanish. Juana is better known as Juanita. This was her house when we first walked in. You'll see the same inverter sitting there. Underneath it is a battery. Yeah, I forgot to point that out. There was a battery in Nicole's house as well. And one light bulb hanging between the two rooms. She just has a two-room house. And so, after we got finished, we got the inverter hung on the wall and then wired everything from there. And, this is an example. In her kitchen, living space area, there was a counter where the flowers were sitting. And, she didn't want, she just wanted one light bulb like in the middle. I said, well, it'll be dark on this side, on the side of the counter. And so why don't we, put two in, and also we put an outlet. You can see it just below that cabinet in there. And when I send these pictures, one of the churches that supports me is there's an elder there that was a mentor to me in electrical work. And so he asked me, why are all them wires exposed? And I tell him, well, brother, for one, I don't know how thick the walls are, because they're not like ours. And two, there's no electrical code down there. They're safe. I did them up to code, but they, as far as, being properly wired in and whatnot. But so, I got brothers like Brian all around, that tease and harass me. So there by the door, we were able to put them behind the wall, because sometimes you get behind the wall, you don't know what you got. Plus, I would have had to tear all the walls up. So, this next letter is from Sister Soledad. Sister Soledad has three children still in the home. It's quite lengthy. At her house, well, I'll get to that. Anyway, I, Sister Soledad, from the Church of Christ in Amelia Zapata neighborhood, or rather, who gathers there, with Brother Mario and his wife Lucy. I'm not going to read the last name. Thank you with all the love of Christ. Because of your hearts, you carry that fervent desire to help your neighbor. I'm deeply grateful for that. You thought of my family, giving of your resources, since it is not easy. Everything is difficult. What cost me so much to gather, you also have your own needs, your families, yet you can see how your manifest love of God. You are an example of unity of what God desires in difficult times. He is with his children. I will never be able to repay materially the gesture you have had toward us, or all the enthusiasm that Brother Mario and Brother Mark showed. If only the whole world were like that. Of course, doing it to bring joy and accomplish good works for the Lord. I even wish to make you a drawing, or at least something, but I never could, nor have the patience to create something beautiful. Thank you for all that you did for me and for my family, my daughters, Jackie, Zoe, and Esteban. And this is, I can tell you, her house was the last house we did. of all three houses, she was the only one that had grid power. The other two were solar. And on Friday, we were on Friday afternoon. We got everything done. We tested it all. It all was working, but I didn't have it all buttoned up. And actually, while we were doing some of the work, I got I got shocked, let's put it that way, because of something that was on the outside of the house. What they were doing was they had built a new place, and something was on the outside of the old one got me. You know, something about electrical, it can be shocking at times. Anyway, but I wanted to get back there and take pictures and show everybody, and also button everything up. But this is what happened. Our very first day in Baja, Mexico, and like I said, you never know what you're gonna get. It says that we were picked up by Flaviano, which is Mario, the preacher's son-in-law, and he knows how much. Like, if I'm gonna be 2 miles from the Pacific Ocean, I want to go to the ocean, you know. So we stopped on the way, and it was a good thing because it's like one of the only 2 sunny days we had. So we stopped there, just got a picture, and continued on our trip south. Where we landed in Tijuana is probably 5 hours north of where we were going. Nobody let me know that this was going to happen. You know, if y'all remember, we had a government shutdown. I was just worried about whether our flights would go from, you know, have enough time to, you know, we have enough time to get over because of the air traffic controller shortage, you know. But we made all those fine, and we landed, and everything was perfect as far as the flights went. Although I did drop my passport somewhere in the Tijuana airport, I was like, I gotta get back in the country. Anyway, we found it, and but this was the news in San Diego, one of the San Diego stations, the day that we landed. They were warning that, you know, they were gonna have floodwaters, and they did. And so I was borrowing a car or transportation while I was down there from Flaviano one, and also Deanna's mother. But I didn't want to be this guy because this is what roads look like down there. And a lot of them look like that. And like when you look at them, you're like, I don't know how deep that is. You know, because there's holes in the middle of them roads. And so it really slowed down what we were able to do, stopped a lot of what we were able to do, because we were going to go to one of the local markets and hand out flyers. We did that in June to the people and tell them about the church, but what wasn't meant to be. You never know what you're going to get in Mexico. It's like the Wild West. The lack of basic services such as electricity, water, roads in many areas. There are some areas that have the modern conveniences of the United States, but not many. Actually, there's some neighborhoods down there, you know, they'll just be a neighborhood. It's real nice, all the roads are paved, but they're few and far between. You never, like I said, the Wild West. We pulled around the corner one day, we were going to the church building, and lo and behold, there's a couple of horses in the middle of the road. And you can see that open area beyond them, where it's kind of brown. There were another 3 or 4 of them just standing in the field, just there. While I was down there on the main road that runs up and down the peninsula, there was a car struck a horse, and I think it killed one of the passengers of the car, killed the horse. But these were typically what we saw on the roads. It would rain all, you know, in the night, and then the daytime you have this. The first couple of days weren't so bad, but as it rained more and more, it got worse and worse. To where it started becoming like this. The picture on the left is the main road through Baja, and this happened to be a a pretty bad area there. And like I said, when you drive through this stuff, you don't know how deep it's going to be, and you know, so you don't want to tear up the car. I told you the houses weren't 3 and 2, you know, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. This is an example of what people shower in. The bucket there, the blue bucket, is what they pull water out of and, you know, pour it over their heads. And you know, so, you know, when you go on trips like this, you really figure out just how blessed we are. And the thing that's amazing about this is, you know, how much we as Americans complain. They just don't. I mean, they just love, you know, love each other. They love the people, and so anyway, there were some bright and shining areas where the love of the Lord and hope and promise can still be seen, such as the pictures below. This clinic and school are operated by a joint effort between Baja Missions and the local Church of Christ in Papalote, Mexico. Papalote, I found out means kite. So they're flying high. This is a really nice clinic down there. It's a free clinic for the local community. They do teeth cleaning there and other service checkups and whatnot. I don't know. I didn't get into the medical side of it, how much they do, but I mean, it is a clinic for the community. They also have a school program, like the one that Zapata wants to start, and this is a picture of one of the classes in, and one of the empty classes, but also a class outside. They teach, you know, like English, technical skills, jobs, and whatnot. So it's a real good outreach for the church down there. That area, which is in the same state of San Quintin, as it's just a little further south than where Zapata is. The vision for the church in Zapata is to offer similar services as an outreach to the local communities of Zapata, Vicente Guerrera, and other small communities in the northern part of San Quintin. The Zapata Church is in the process of installing elders with the assistance of supporting churches in Kentucky and Tennessee. This following picture is our brother Mario, the preacher of Zapata congregation, a man of many talents and an instrumental reason the church is alive and well. As you'll see, he pitches in where needed. And as you saw from the thank you notes, since most of their congregation is extremely poor, he and his family do a lot of transportation of their members. So that's him on the left helping move electrical, and that's him on the right doing his preaching. While we were down there, they had a, I don't know what you call them, where a bunch of churches come together and have a gospel meeting. There it is, gospel meeting. So they had the same thing, and he was one of the speakers at that event. My hope and prayer is that in this presentation you'll see that God's hand can reach anywhere, that maybe you will have a hunger to become a missionary for the kingdom as well. And that doesn't necessarily mean in Mexico. You know, there's mission work right here. Many of you have assisted in ways that I am eternally grateful for. Additionally, if you have never seen the transition of a person, especially a young person who goes on these types of missions, it is truly incredible. When I've been down there have been several youth that have gone with their parents down there, and they come back changed. You know, they realize just how blessed they are, and you know, they get to see the same thing we see. Now, I wouldn't suggest going on a mission. You know, when I went in 2022, I thought, yeah, I'm gonna go down there and see what it's all about, but you kind of get hooked. I mean, it's like, because the people are so loving and, you know, there is such a need. In 2023, 3 members of the South Green Church came with the mission in June. The next year, they brought 13. That was the kind of impact that mission had on those members. I'll never forget this. I heard there was a comment a brother, an elder made. He said he was retiring and that he had done his part. It was going to kick back and do nothing anymore. And he stepped down as an elder and he was true to his word. He withdrew from life. You know, I know we got retirement plans, you know, from our, you know, wherever we work, but I don't think the Lord's got a retirement plan. It is. It's like we tap you on the shoulder, say, come on with me, you know. But while we're here, I sure am glad that the elder that gave me plane rides as a kid for learning Bible verses didn't have that attitude, or I may not have come to Christ, or come to know Christ. 2 of the 3 people from South Green on that first trip were elders. While the breath is in me, I will remember the words of our Lord in Matthew 9:36 through 38. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, and because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd, then Jesus said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray earnestly that the Lord of the harvest be sent out and sent out to laborers in his harvest." And I'll leave you with these Bible verses. Zechariah 7:9 through 10. This is what the Lord Almighty said: administer justice, show mercy and compassion to one another. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, the foreigner or the poor. Do not plot evil against each other. Proverbs 31:8 and 9. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves and for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. And I'll leave you with this one last note. You know, we've been talking about discipleship, and one of the things that was discussed in one of our meetings in discipleship was that, you know, sometimes we come into church and we're all cleaned up and polished up, and we never say anything about, you know, I'll never forget, there was a couple that approached me about that they had lost a child, and I didn't know that. You know, it gives you a different impression because, you know, you could feel the pain in that. You know, that story at the Beas was me. And I'd hate to see where I'd be without the Lord. So I'm thankful that there were missions into my neighborhood when I was 13 years old. And, you know, I'll never forget that a gentleman that drove the Joy Bus around my neighborhood, a guy with a cleft palate that you wouldn't think would have any impact on anybody, used to get on them buses, and I still remember Blue Skies and Rainbows, you know, all them songs, you know. And then, I don't know why my mother knew this, but at some point in time, after I became a Christian, he had fallen away from the church, so I called him and I said, "Joe, my mom, like I said, I don't know how she knew this, said that you're not attending church anymore because he had lost his wife." And he asked me a question. He said, "Tell me, why didn't you keep coming to church when you know, we reached out to you?" And I said, "Joe, I was in a heathen family. You know, you know, they didn't go to church. I call them Marian Christians. That's the only way they grace the doorway of a church. But I said, Joe, you did what you were supposed to do. You planted the seed. It's a simple thing. We just got to plant the seed." And to Jimmy's point, don't take the name in vain, meaning I'm a Christian, I'm gonna go out here and do whatever. Exactly, that's exactly. You know, we go out and show the love to those around us. Have a blessed night.